So, yeah, Lynx Airline, the latest Canadian discount budget airline, whatever you want to call it, as to go out of business. And it didn't take them long, basically 2 years, barely 2 years. Problem is, these things keep happening. The bigger problem is, what about people who took advantage of, cheaper fares, booked on Lynx, and then found themselves the morning of basically out of luck with nowhere to go? I read the story. We had a listener, John Gradek is on the line. John, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm
Sorry.
here.
Yeah, John Gradek is a lecturer at McGill's Global Aviation Leadership Program. I asked because we got a letter from a listener saying she was trying to get home from Tampa, I think, on Lynx,
Yeah.
and got to the airport and had heard from a friend that they had announced that they stopped the next day. I guess this was the first day before, or the last day before they actually stopped operations, or at least flying out of there. She got to the airport. Not even the gate agents knew what was going on. They said, we have a plane coming in from Toronto, so just go sit and wait by the gate. And I believe that could be your flight going back to Montreal. And of course, it turned out it wasn't. And then she was just trying to run everywhere to be able to book a flight home. By that time, everyone was charging more money for the flights. So, John, sadly, this is not the first time this has happened in this country. But what happens to someone who booked a flight on Lynx and now wants to get their money back? What are they telling you can do? What are your options here?
You have to go to your credit card company or the company that issued the ticket and try to get a refund from them. And that's, Lynx is out of money. Lynx will not pay you back. So you have to go to the intermediary that you use to pay for your ticket. And so it's either a credit card that you use on a Lynx website, or whether it's Expedia or Hopper or anybody else, you basically have to go through them to get your money back.
Okay, so you call or you get in touch with your credit card company, you explain the situation, and then you wait, and I'm sure they'll make you wait for a while, and eventually refund your money.
Typically 14 days. It's not,
Okay.
They've seen this rodeo before. So they know.
Right.
So they're prepared for it. Yeah, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get your money back.
Beyond that, though, a part of the problem here is now there are people, it's one thing to get your money back. It's another trying to get home from where you were. And then how do other airlines get involved here? Are they capping fares if you've been involved in this? Do you know?
Of course, yeah. Air Canada has made an announcement that they're capping fares at, I think, $250 or $300 for passengers holding Lynx tickets. So has WestJet. They're not going to, if you pay Lynx, you're not going to get the flight on Air Canada or WestJet unless you pay their capped fare. So it's additional money out of your pocket. There's no claim. You can't get claim for anybody against that additional payment. So that money's coming from your pocket to basically use any of those seats that are being offered by Air Canada and WestJet. And remember, this is spring break, right?
And it costs you even more.
There's
Yeah.
not a heck of a lot of seats out there available. So, while this sounds like a good deal being offered by both WestJet and Air Canada, unfortunately, to make use of that offer, you need available seats, and there aren't many left.
Okay. So, again, you're basically left to fend for yourself here. You're not going to get a whole lot of help from anybody.
No, but the refund is going to happen. So if you're in Tampa and you want to come back and you got a ticket on Lynx, that money that you paid for the Lynx flight from Tampa to Montreal is subject to refund. Use a credit card agencies or whatever
Right.
intermediary you use, but to get out of Tampa is going to cost you at least $500 or $600
So, in the case of the woman whose email I mentioned off the top, beyond finding out the day they were there was no more Lynx flight, and they had to go book somewhere else. They couldn't do that till the following day. So now they have to get a hotel room for another day. They got to travel to and from the airport another day. That money out the window?
Yes, sir. Out the window.
Okay. Can I ask you then how we got to this situation? How long they've been in operation? As I said, barely 2 years?
Yeah, they launched in 2022, so in the summer of 2022. So let's say 19 months, 20 months. And Flair's a little bit more now. Their Flair's about 2.5 years.
So I have an easy question for you, John. What happened?
I think the competition woke up. The competition in Canada basically left Flair and Lynx to do their thing in 2022 and 2023. And the price leaders in Canada have been Flair and Lynx for the longest time, since these guys have been around. And the duopoly that we have in Canada basically has left these guys alone because, as we know, you and I have talked many times before, Air Canada and WestJet have a whole bunch of other things they have to deal with in terms of the disruptions and staffing and all that good stuff. That now that that's out of the way, they're now basically saying we have to make sure we protect our market share. And how do we protect market share against individuals or organizations who are using price to drive that market share for them? Let's do the same thing. And Air Canada and WestJet have decided to become price competitive, and there goes your advantage. And these two carriers basically said, well, we have to increase our gap between us and them, so we reduce the fares even further. So now you're going down further down the rabbit hole, and there's no way for you to get out.
So have we reached kind of maximum capacity in terms of budget airlines in this country? And I'm not going to put Porter in that category because they're not. But is there room for another low-cost carrier in Canada?
Oh, Aaron, there's always room. You and I can create an airline. We'll have to say we have a better mousetrap. These guys don't know how to do it. You and I can figure this one out. We'll have a better mousetrap. We'll have better service. We'll have bigger and better airplanes, more colorful airplanes, and that will work. And that's what drives these carriers to be created in the first place. So it's an obsession by people who love airplanes to basically create airlines that they say, I've got the perfect model. I can do it. Let me see if I can get some people to come along with me for the ride, investors, and let's get this thing off the ground.
Although I got to say, the graveyard of failed airlines in this country, even in the U.S., obviously, pretty big and getting bigger. I mean, I'm trying to think back to airlines even that we used to have here. Transat's a real airline now, but back in the day, remember we had Royal, and then we had Nordair. I mean, all these guys have come and gone. And you're right. Someone with what they think is a fresh idea shows up, but at the end of the day, who gets hurt here, John?
The traveling public. And I don't know how many times we've had to have rescue airplanes set up to kind of pick these people up. We had carriers like Jetsco, Canada 3000, Canada 2000, Nation Air. Yeah, as you said, we've been through this story many, many times. It's like the definition of insanity. Keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Guess what? Same result.
Got to tell you, it was wonderful here. I forgot about the ones you just brought up. Jetsco. Anybody remember? There's I forgot half of them.
Oh yeah, let me tell you. I could go through the list, and some of them are pretty. We have Lynx Air, we have Harmony Airways. There's lots of them around, and they've all, their epitaphs are there in the cemetery, and we're just adding one more this week. Who knows when the next one will show up?
Who knows indeed. John, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, Aaron. Have a good one.
You bet, John Gradek. So, yeah, if you're a Lynx, if you traveled, booked, whatever, get a hold of your credit card company. You apply for a refund that way because this company has gone out of business. Effective today, by the way, February 26th. Done. Not flying. And then good luck with everything else as you try to book a flight if you have to with another airline. They're supposed to cap fares at some point if you're traveling, I think he said, on either Air Canada or WestJet. But it is spring break, right? So not a lot of seats. And those seats are, what do they call it again? Dynamic pricing. More expensive now than they would be at typically another time of the year. So good luck.